president is here. He is in the house. And we want to thank all of you for coming today. You know, he called me at 9 o'clock last night and said, "You're speaking tomorrow." And I just want to thank you. We did not expect 5,000 patriots. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Wonderful people. So, hello, Trump warriors. Hello, patriots. Hello, deplorables. You know what the definition of deplorable is? Real Americans who love God, country, family, and President Donald J. Trump. You know the definition of a Democrat politician in D.C.? Corrupt, radical, Marxist traitors who have sold out our country to the highest bidders. China, Ukraine, the Mexican drug cartels, and Big Pharma. You know the definition of a racist? Anyone winning an argument with a Democrat. You know the definition of Joe Biden? Weak, feckless, old man with dementia and diapers who is a puppet for the real president of the United States, Barack Obama. You know the definition of Barack Obama, the real Marxist president of the United States, hiding in the shadows, hiding in his D.C. mansion, steps of the White House, calling the shots since the rigged, stolen 2020 election. Obama is the architect of the open border strategy to intentionally destroy America, our schools and our healthcare system and our great American middle class. How do I know that? Because Barack Obama was my college classmate, Columbia University, 1979 through 1983, where we learned the plan to destroy America called Cloward Piven. What is the definition of a hero? Well, first of all, Donald J. Trump. Start with that. But right now, at this moment, my definition of a hero is the state of Texas. We are all Texans now. I talked about this in my Real America's Voice TV show this morning. It's called America's Top 10 Countdown. It was my #1 story. I say to Texas 3 words: stand your ground. Draw a line in the sand and tell Biden and the federal government and the Supreme Court to pound sand. Now, we all agree that government sucks. My hero, Ronald Reagan, said, the 9 worst words in the English language: I'm for the government and I'm here to help. But government actually has one role that I support, and that role is to protect the citizens and our precious children from a foreign invasion. That's the only thing. Yet Democrats, Biden, his boss Obama, Kamala, the border czar, who's never been to the border, Alejandro Mayorkas, the gang of radical Marxist traitors have sold us out to China and the Mexican drug cartels. Now, my idea, I want to give you my idea to save America. And I hope President Trump takes this idea and runs with it. I believe what we need to save America is we need lie detector tests for politicians and government bureaucrats. And I would ask them these questions to save America. Have you sold out America? Why don't you go, ooh! Are you being bribed? Are you being blackmailed? Does China own you? Are you owned by the Mexican drug cartels? Are you owned by Big Pharma? This is exactly why we're losing America. The politicians and the government officials are bribed and blackmailed. Ask Carrie Lake. They offered her any amount of money in the world to not run for governor of Arizona, and she told him to stick it where the sun don't shine. The main tool that they're using to destroy this country is open borders. And I got to tell you what I think is a pretty remarkable story. You see, I predicted all of this 8 years ago. I stood on a stage just like this, October 30th, 2016. I was the opening speaker for candidate Donald J. Trump in Las Vegas at the Venetian Hotel 1 week before the election. We had 12,000 in the audience. And I told the crowd, I know the plan to destroy America. Hillary, if she's elected, will be Obama's third term. She will open the borders like never before and invite the whole world in. Democrats will flood this country with 20 million, 30 million, 40 million illegals. This is the Cloward-Piven plan that I learned 40 years ago at Columbia with Obama as my classmate. You let the whole world in. Criminals, rapists, murderers, terrorists, military-age males, pregnant women. No questions asked. You put them all on welfare, cradle to grave. You overwhelm the system. You explode the national debt. You bankrupt the country. You collapse the economy. And not only does America become a failed socialist welfare state, but no Republican is ever elected again. I told that crowd 8 years ago, either we elect Trump or we will never elect another Republican president again. Now look around. It's happening today exactly as I predicted 8 years ago. Just postponed for years because Trump won the presidency and pulled the greatest upset in the history of politics in 2016. So what did Democrats do? They're evil, but they're brilliant and they're cunning. They came up with a new plan. Use the COVID pandemic to change the laws and allow mail-in voting with no voter ID. And then they rigged and stole the presidency from Donald J. Trump. Here's the great news. Always look at the bright side. I'm a glasses half full guy. We have a do-over. We have a mulligan. All of us could tell our future grandchildren and our future great-grandchildren that we had the once-in-a-lifetime honor of voting. For the first time in our lifetimes, we got to vote 3 times for the greatest president in the history of America. As I close, I want to give you the same closing that I gave you in 2016. It's Trump or it's the end of America. So give everything you've got for the next 9 months. Drop everything. This is our mission. This is our gift from God. This is the moment of our lives. We are blessed to have this moment. This is why we were born. This is a 9-month run for the history books. Be relentless. Be tenacious. Fight like cornered Wolverines. Attack like General George Patton. We will never accept defeat. Never. We will never, ever, ever give up because of our love of America. Because this is the battle for the ages, a battle inspired by God, a battle to save the greatest nation in world history ever blessed by God. And I will fight to the last minute, to my last dollar, to my last breath. I will give you my country when you pry it from my cold, dead hands. Will you? Will you? God bless Las Vegas, God bless America, and God bless the 45th and 47th President of the United States. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
We started this journey a long time ago. Many of the people in this crowd started with us. Wayne mentioned a minute ago, going back to 2015, how small our mission was to make sure we elect a president that will fight for every one of us, to make sure the working men and women have an opportunity, not just the elite. Well, our man showed up. Our man put everything on the line. He's one of the most popular people in the world. He put that aside to fight for all of us, harnessing his family and his business. He's laid everything for us. He's fought everything against us. He's fighting for your freedom. Now it's your turn to fight for us, to fight for the president who stands for you. Our great friend Matt Whitaker said, look what we did in Iowa, how promising Iowa was, how they turned out, and they did in the caucus. When I talked to the president, I said, I guarantee you, Nevada will show up and we will deliver you 100% of delegates for the state of Nevada to Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American.
The next president again, Donald J. Trump.
Don't forget the men who died, who gave
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And you know, outside, I don't know if you know what's going on. This place is packed. There's more people outside trying to get in. So if anybody wants to leave, please leave. And does anybody volunteer to leave? No? We have close to 3,000 people outside trying to get in on top. So thank you very much, and thank you, Michael. I'm thrilled to be back in Las Vegas with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. That's what you are. As you know, 2 weeks ago in Iowa, we had a great time in Iowa. 40 degrees below zero. We won the Iowa caucuses by the largest margin in the history of the caucus. Thank you. Thank you. Very enthusiastic people. No, they're friends. They're friends. Thank you very much. No, they're actually friends, enthusiastic friends. Then earlier this week, we had a spectacular victory in New Hampshire. We shattered the all-time record for the number of votes cast from either party. It has never happened in the entire history of the New Hampshire primary. We got the most votes ever gotten by anybody. That's a good sign. And I'm proud that we're the first non-incumbent, and remember this, look at this, in either party to win both. Think of this, Iowa and New Hampshire. We won them both quite easily, thank you. And now we're going to have an even bigger victory right here in Nevada. Perhaps the most astounding of all is we achieved our monumental victory in New Hampshire despite the fact that more than 50% of the voters were not even Republican, you know? They were Democrats and independent. That was a setup, and we still won by a record margin. Over 70% of the votes cast. Oh, wow. I didn't even know this fact. Did you hear this? 70% of the votes cast for Nikki Haley. Did anybody ever hear of her? Bird Brain. Nikki. You know, the Republican Party wanted to nominate me and just say, skip the whole thing, and we're just going to give you our nomination. I said, don't do that. Don't do that. I want to win it the fair way. Pretty easy way, too, because we're leading by so much. But over 70% of the votes cast for Nikki Haley on Tuesday came from outside of the Republican Party. They came from outside. She got about 24%, 25% Republican votes because they had liberals interfering on behalf. They had Democrats voting. They had everybody voting, and we still won by a lot. That was the one shot. The message from the voters of our party is clear. It's time to finish this primary and get going and defeating. And you remember this. We all call it a primary, but I like calling it a caucus because it really is. Your primary vote doesn't mean anything. It's your caucus vote. So in your state, you have both a primary and you have a caucus. Don't worry about the primary. Just do the caucus thing. And we're going to go on to defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we're going to very simply make America great again. Make America great again. So it's very important to remember that, you have a big thing coming up. Don't waste your time on primary. Waste all of your time on caucus. And because the primary doesn't mean anything. It's psychologically maybe a little bit, about 2%, but it doesn't mean anything. With the help of everyone here today, we're going to secure a gigantic win in the Nevada caucuses on Thursday. So it's Thursday, February 8th, right around the corner this November. And we do want to get a good vote. We're not going to have a lot of competition, I think, but it doesn't matter. We want to get a great, beautiful mandate. And this November, we're going to win the swing state of Nevada. You ever think of it as a swing state? And we're going to keep the House, and we're going to take back the Senate, and we're going to get a lot of great, talented people here. And we're going to also take back that beautiful, isn't it one of the most beautiful places in the world? The White House. The White House! And victory cannot come soon enough. Under crooked Joe Biden, our country is dying. Our country is dying. Our borders open and gushing. It's a big gushing wound, letting drugs, crime, and millions upon millions of illegal aliens pour into our country like we've never seen before. Nothing like this has ever happened to our country before. It's also the number one place on earth for a thing called human trafficking. Number one place. Our border has become a weapon of mass destruction, our destruction. You know, it's a weapon of mass destruction. It's our destruction. We're destroying our country. And as I've been saying for so many years, this is an invasion. It's an invasion of our country. On behalf of all Americans who want a strong and secure border, I want to express our thanks to Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. And the great state of Texas, where we right now have about a 40-point lead for rightly invoking the invasion clause of the U.S. Constitution. It is an invasion. But we didn't need to do it just 3 years ago. We didn't need anybody's help because we had the safest border in U.S. history 3 years ago. We didn't need anybody's help. Today we have a catastrophe waiting to happen. It's a terrible situation. Never had anything like it before. It's the worst border anywhere in the history of the world, and I believe that includes other countries. There's never been a country where millions and millions of people are able to flow in with no vetting, no checking, no nothing. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from. They're pouring into our country, and they're coming from prisons. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're human traffickers. They're coming in. They're drug dealers. They're coming in. We have no idea, and we have no idea what we're doing with our country. Our country's going to hell because of incompetent or bad people. Terrorists are pouring in unchecked from all over the world. We have more terrorists now. In 2019, I never really believed this fully, but I know we did a good job on it. In 2019, remember, they said they had no terrorists. They do these checks. I don't know. None sounds like something Trump would say, to be honest. They say, no, only Trump would say. They actually have it down. It's a report, and it says none. And then the following 2 years later, they have record number of terrorists now pouring into our same report, record number of terrorists coming into our country. And there's a 100% chance that there will be a major terrorist attack in the United States, or many attacks maybe. And it's all because of what's happened over the last 3 years. When I'm president, instead of trying to send Texas a restraining order, I will send them reinforcements. Instead of fighting border states, I will use every resource, tool, and authority of the U.S. president to defend the United States of America from this horrible invasion that is taking place right now. There's never been anything like it. Texas will be given full support, and I will deploy all necessary military and law enforcement resources to seal up the final section of border. You know, we built over 500 miles of wall, fortunately, but they are just, what they're doing is just not even, it's not even believable. You know, usually you like to know the other side, and you like to know where the other side's coming from. Nobody to this day can explain why this open wound is good for our country. And even politically, why is it good politically? First of all, with the Hispanic vote, we're doing better now than the Democrat Party. So I think it's good for us. But we're going to seal the border, complete it, and we're going to repeal the invasion. You know, remember that in 2016 when I campaigned, everybody remembers that, we had a very bad border. Nothing like today. And I solved the problem. Then when I ran in 2020, and by the way, got the most votes in the history of any hear about the border. We had no border problem. We're the strongest border we've ever had in history. But now we can talk about the border because it's never, ever been worse than it is now. I don't think any border in the entire world has ever been worse. Third world countries would fight with sticks and stones to keep people out in that kind. That's incredible. I believe that the number by the end of the Biden administration will be close to 18 million people. That's bigger than New York State. I believe that's going to be the real number. That's the real number. 18 million people. And who does it hurt the worst? African Americans and Hispanics. It hurts the Hispanics and the African Americans first. And when you look at the poll numbers, how well we're doing with Hispanics and African Americans, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're a little concerned, the Democrats on the left. It was just announced that 302,000 illegal aliens trespassed across our border last month. 302,000. That's an all-time, by the way, that's an all-time record. There's never been a number like that. Last month, 302,000. That's bigger than most cities in our country. Yet unbelievably, rather than helping Texas to build our border security up, crooked Joe Biden is fighting Texas to tear our beautiful border security down. They're cutting all the wire. Let's cut the wire. Let everybody in. No. They want open borders. They could have solved, in 3 weeks, I would have been able to get another 150 miles of wall up. Think of that. All they had to do, the wall was there. All they had to do is put it up. It was all set to be put up. And you know what they did? They sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. They sold it as scrap. They want to have open borders, and you're going to remember that come November. And now they're trying to blame anybody that they can. They're going to blame your great Lieutenant Governor who's here. I appreciate it. We're going to introduce him in a second. They're going to blame you. They're going to blame the governor. They're going to blame me. They're going to blame everybody. They're going to blame Leo. They're going to blame Leo 2.0. Look, Leo. They're going to blame you, Leo. But Leo can handle it. That's one thing. Leo can handle it. Thank you. But let there be no doubt what Joe Biden is doing is a crime against our nation. It's an absolute betrayal of our country, and it's an atrocity against our Constitution. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Crooked Joe will not get away with these crimes. He will be tried at the ballot box in November, and you will go back to having the strongest border, even stronger than I gave you, but we'll take that too. We'll take anything when you look at what's happened to our country. And with your vote, he will be judged and convicted by the American people of this atrocity that he's done. Nobody can believe what's happened. Under the Trump administration, we ended catch and release. Remember catch and release? You know what release is? We release them into our country, criminals. What do? I murdered someone. He comes from a jail. We release them into our country. We got Mexico to send 28,000 troops. Remember this, 28,000 troops. And you think that was easy, don't you? It wasn't easy. I had to tell the president of Mexico, we want you to send us 28,000 troops. He said, you have to be kidding. You know, he's a very smart guy. He actually is a great guy. I like him. He's a socialist, but that's okay. You know, can't have everything. But no, he's a great guy. He said, I'm not going to send you 28. Why would I send you 28,000? Which is what anybody here would say. I said, no, you will. 100% sure you will. He said, I'm not sending troops. I said, you will. Send me your rep. I don't want to get into an argument with you. I like you too much. Send me your top negotiator. And he sent this very handsome guy. And he actually came into New York, and I met him in New York. Can you believe that? And we met during the United Nations, and I said, we need 28,000 soldiers. We need remain in Mexico. We need catch and release in Mexico. This is now catch and release in Mexico. There's a little difference, right? Not catch and release in the USA. But I went to the Border Patrol, Brandon Judd, fantastic. I went to Tom Homan separately. I went to a whole group of incredible patriots. And I said, give me the top 10 things. And I was dealing with a woman from the State Department who's a very quality woman, but a lousy negotiator. And she said she was there 24 years. And she said, I worked in Mexico for 24 years, so you're not going to get any of these things. I said, give me a top 10 list. Top 10. Give me 10 things you want. I'll get every one of them. Sir, you won't. And they gave me a top 10 list. Brandon Judd, all the guys, they know exactly. They gave me that 10, and I put it down, and I said, I'll get every one of these things. And then he came in, the gentleman came in, tall, handsome, obviously from Mexico. I said, where did you buy your suits? I love your suit. Where did you buy it? I said, I'm going to that shop right away. I think it's beautiful. And I said, how much did you pay for your suit? I said, now let's get down to business. We want you to give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. He said, oh, you gotta be, we're not gonna do that. Why the hell, sir, why would we do that? I want to be respectful, sir, but we wouldn't even think about it. Yes, you will, 100%. He said, no, we won't. I said, you will. He said, no way. I said, way. And then I said, I want you to have a policy now I'm going to institute. It's called Remain in Mexico. They had to agree to it. They said, we're not going to let you. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. I said, maybe millions, because the way they're coming up in the caravans, a name I came up with, by the way, I'm very proud of that name. I came up with fake news. Look at all the fake news back there. I came up with a lot of good names. I said, no, we want to remain in Mexico policy. Nobody ever even heard of that. Remain in, it sounds nice, right? Not remain in the USA, remain in Mexico until they can be vetted, which might take about 3 years. And I said, remain in Mexico. I want catch and release in Mexico. And I wanted other Title 42. I wanted Title 42 to keep people that had big problems out. I wanted a policy where we bring children back to their parents, wherever they may be. And we had that very strongly. All things that they said, no. He kept saying no. I said, listen, you're saying no to everything, right? Yep. Here's the story. These 10 things, I want them. I'm going to give you one last chance. We can't do it, sir. We just can't. I said, here's the story. It's Friday at 4 o'clock on Monday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. Every single item, especially the cars that you stole out of the USA to manufacture them in Mexico, every single thing that comes into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. And in 2 weeks, if you don't approve it, in 2 weeks, the 25 goes to 50%. Every single item. So we want 28,000 soldiers. We want remain in Mexico. We want catch and release in Mexico. We want all of these things. I gave him 5 other things which were almost as bad. And he said, sir, may I have 5 minutes to make a phone call? I said, you're going to call the president? Yes, I am. He calls the president, comes back in about 2 minutes. Sir, it would be our great honor to supply the United States with 28,000 soldiers. Okay? Great honor. It would be our great honor, sir. And that was how I got all that stuff. And then Biden comes in. The first week, he let it all go. Just very sad. You know, you've seen a lot of him at the beach. We all have consultants. The thing is, I don't listen to mine enough. I should listen. But we've been right about it, almost everything. Do you ever see the hat? Trump is right about everything. I hope I'm not right about World War III, because you're very close to World War III. I'm not predicting it, but I'm saying you're very close. We have a man negotiating for us who can't put 2 sentences together. He can't see the stage. He can't find the stairs to get off the stage. And I'm not going to imitate him, because every time I imitate him, they say he couldn't find his way. It's true. It's true. True, Robert. It's true. 2 weeks ago, I did one of the greatest imitations. I imitated him. You know, he finishes the speech. His speeches last for about 3 minutes because, you know, his gasoline sort of runs out a little bit. It's a little bit like an electric car, isn't it? You know, it doesn't go far. Doesn't go far. Got a couple of problems. Doesn't go far. No, but he finished his speech, and I did this great imitation. You know, the way he always points, like, huh. And then he walks in a different direction. But I did it. He goes like, huh. And then thank you. And then a handsome Secret Service agent, one of these handsome guys, the Secret Service is great. They run up on stage and they pretend like everything's normal. You know, like, oh, it's right over here, sir, right over here. I thought that could be. No, he's negotiating with Putin and with Kim Jong-un. I mean, think of it. He's negotiating with President Xi of China. Think of it. Kim Jong-un, North Korea, he's negotiating. I did a good job with Kim Jong-un. We had a very good relationship. People don't like it when I say that. But we were very safe when I was your president. You're not safe now. But you're very close to a third world war. And, you know, the bombs are starting to drop all over the Middle East again. You see that, right? And all those things could be fixed to our benefit with strength. To our benefit with strength. And Israel would have never happened. And Ukraine would have never happened. There wouldn't have been an attack on Israel. There wouldn't have been an attack on Ukraine. And we wouldn't have had any inflation. Inflation was caused by energy, by fuel, by oil going to $100 and $110 a barrel. But our border was perfect. But remember this, so I did the imitation. And the next day, all over television, see Trump get off. He can't get off the stage either. They're the same. Then they said, we don't like these 81, 82-year-old people. I said, I'm 77. 5 years is a big difference. But you know, no, they always say I'm 81. They say like we're not the same age. But you know what? I know guys. I know one man who became a billionaire. He was sort of not a loser. He was a very smart guy, but his whole life he never was able to make money. On his 80th birthday, he made a deal, and he became a billionaire from 80 to 90. And to this day, he's very sharp. He was sharper, and he told me he felt stronger and smarter. I'll tell you what, I feel sharper now than I did 20 years ago. I really do. I don't know. It's probably not true. It's probably not true. And I think anybody running for president should take an aptitude or a cognitive test. I do. I think you want to have people that can pass things. And I took one in office. Remember, they were saying, first they said, this guy is brilliant. He wants to take over the world. He wants to take, that didn't work. Then they went to about 4 different scenarios. Then they said, he wants total control of the United States. He's never going to give up control. He's totally brilliant. Then they went to a different one. That didn't work too much. That didn't scare people. Then they said, he's dumb as a rock. He's dumb as a rock. I said, oh, that one I don't like. So I said to Doc Ronnie, do you know Doc Ronnie? From Texas, the White House doctor. Doc Ronnie, he's the great doc. He's a doc, doctor, White House doctor. For Obama, for Trump. He was Obama. And they asked him, who is in better health? Who's more physically fit? You know what he said? Trump. And I said, I'll endorse that guy anytime. He said Trump would live to 200 years old if he wouldn't eat so much junk food. Sort of interesting. Dr. Ronnie Jackson. So he was an admiral, a doctor, White House doctor. Now he's a great congressman from Texas. And I said to him, you know, Ronnie, I'd like to take a cognitive test. I never heard of it before, but whatever it is. I like tests. I've always liked tests. Tests are very interesting. And, you know, I had an uncle. He's the longest serving professor, Dr. John Trump, in the history of MIT. Same genes. We have genes. We're smart people. We're smart people, you know? We're like Mr. Lieutenant Governor, we're like racehorses, too. You know, the fast ones produce the fast ones, and the slow ones doesn't work out so well, right? But we're no different in that sense. But I said, so what do you think, Ronnie? He said, well, you're going to take it. The thing is, it's a very public test because we're doing it at a great hospital, Walter Reed, a great hospital. They have incredible doctors. I said, is it tough? He said, yeah, it's a tough test. The first couple of questions are easy, like they'll have a lion, a giraffe, a whale, and a shark. And they'll say, which one's the lion, okay? And that's all the press covered, the first question. They didn't cover the last question. Multiply 4,733. Multiply times 7. Divide, without paper and pencil, by the way. Divide it by 4. Add up another 37 and a half, 0.5. I remember that. And what's your number? How many people in this room could do it? Not too many. Or they give you 6 names in a row. I took a lot of heat on this. They give you 6 names in a row at the beginning. Sir, I'm going to give you 6 names. Good. They look at them. A chair, a hat, a badge, a necklace, and they vote. Those things. We're going to give you 6 things. And I say, good, what's going on? Can you rename them? So I name them. Then they go back, and if you can do it in order, that's even better. I do them in order, perfect. Then they come back to you 30 minutes later at the end, last question. They say, what were those 6 things? That there aren't too many people, and they laughed, everyone said, oh, that's so easy. There's only about 2% in this room can do it, but I did it. I did it very easily, but I got mocked. They said, oh, that's so easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Go home and try doing it, okay? Go home. So I took a cognitive, and Ronnie announced that publicly, there were doctors sitting there, a team of doctors. He said, the bad thing is if you do poorly, sir, it's going to get out. I said, will it get out if I do well? Yeah, but not nearly as much, because that's not what the fake news wants, right? So I aced it. And then recently I took another one because I had my physical exam, which worked out very nicely. I feel I have an obligation to take a physical exam. Excellent exam. I took a cognitive test, excellent. And I would challenge most of the people running to cognitive tests because most of them couldn't come anywhere close. And you have to be able to do that because these people are people of misinformation and disinformation. And you have to be able, but I really believe it's important. I don't know, they say it's not constitutional. I don't know why. They say it's not constitutional to take an aptitude or cognitive test. But I think anybody running for president, that includes vice president, and maybe even some other positions, I think taking certain tests, cognitive tests, aptitude tests, I think that would be a good thing, personally. I think, not based on age. I don't care if you're 35 years old. But we want intelligent people. Now, that's not a pure sign of intelligence, but we want people that are intelligent. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, that's my thing. I don't know if the fake news is going to report it, but I think everybody running for president and vice president should take a cognitive test, okay? Everybody. And you would be amazed at how many people would fail it. So now Biden is trying to guess. How do you think he's doing a test, okay? He might not get that first question right, actually. So now Biden is trying to gaslight the American public by claiming that his border disaster is Republicans' fault. It's the Republicans' fault. Look at these great people, all big shot politicians. It's your fault. Even though we had the safest border, the best border in history 3 years ago, he's actually trying to blame us for the border. And I think it's just disgraceful. And that's what they do. They're a party of disinformation. They will take something, and they feel if you say it over and over and over again, people will start to believe it. This is purely set up by Democrats, and I think they're trying to get out. Medical? Okay? Yeah, medical, please. Are they okay? Yeah. Please, go ahead. Doctor in the house, thank you. Thank you. I love those people. They're waiting outside for 10 hours, 12 hours. I love you, darling. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, it's just, we don't want to see anybody, even the other side, we don't want to see them hurt. Even the other side. Thank you, doctor. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Take your time, doctor. These are our great friends. These are our loyal and credible friends. We take care of everybody, but we take care of our friends. You see, if this were the State of the Union address, I wouldn't do that because it's got to be this way. You can't say, oh, but we're all very good friends. We love each other. It's very hot outside. We have to do it. Right? Right, Robert? Thank you, Doctor. Great job. Thank you. I'm getting a thumbs up. They have a great group here. We have a great group of people. All right, let's get going, right? Come on, let's go. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. And that great supporter, I want to thank you. They've been here so long and standing in the sun. The so-called border security deal Biden is gushing out and pushing out is not designed to stop illegal immigration. It's designed to continue the invasion of America while sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and other countries. And you know, Ukraine's an interesting case. People always want to know my feeling. Number one, we're in for 200 billion plus, and the European nations are in for 20 billion. And it's more important for them. And don't you think they should equalize? Nobody asks them. It's like I did with NATO. I said, we're paying for NATO, and we don't get so much out of it. And you know, I hate to tell you this about NATO. If we ever needed their help, let's say we were attacked, I don't believe they'd be there. I don't believe. I know the people. I know them. I can tell you country by country who would be there and who, but I don't believe they'd be there. But I took care of NATO. I said, you got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, we're not going to be there to support you. And the following day, the money came rolling into NATO. But the European nations, if you add them up, the economy is about the same size as the U.S., believe it or not. A lot of people are surprised. You add them all up, and they are in for about $20 billion, and we're in for $200 billion because we're stupid. All we have to do is say pay. Nobody ever says to them pay. You don't even hear that. I say pay, and they'll pay too. You have to equalize. As just one example of the border bill, the monstrosity that we're dealing with, 2 million illegals cross the border every single year in the past, and now that number is changing to maybe 8 times that amount. We cannot let this happen to our country. As the leader of our party, there is zero chance I will support this horrible open borders betrayal of America. It's not going to happen. I noticed that, and I'll fight it all the way. I noticed a lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully, they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay. Please blame it on me. Please. Because they were, as you know, the speaker, who's, by the way, I think he's going to prove to be a very good speaker. It's tough when you have a very small majority. Very tough. Mike Johnson, speaker. He just said it's dead on arrival in the House. It's dead on arrival. We want either a strong no bill, and whatever happens, happens. But this is the single greatest threat to our country right now, is the people pouring into our country because we have no idea who they are. The fact is that if Joe Biden truly wanted to secure the border, he doesn't really need a bill. I didn't need a bill. I did it without a bill. I did it with the current laws. I used Border Patrol. I didn't have a bill. I didn't need lots of different things. It's not that complicated. You say, I don't want the people coming in. They say, yes, sir. There won't be any people coming in. And that's what we did. It's not that complicated. But all Biden needs to do is to reimpose every single border policy of the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Did you ever hear of him? And remember, I alluded to it, the bathing suit. He's in the bathing suit. If he would just go to the beach, and if he would have just gone to the beach, you know, they think he looks good in a bathing suit. You know the chair, you know those chairs are meant for little children to lift up for their grandfathers, okay? He can't lift up the chair. He can't drag his feet through the sand. Doesn't work too well. Remember when he said, I'd like to take him behind the barn and punch him. Remember? And they all thought, the fake news said, isn't that nice? Isn't that cute? Oh, that was such a cute. Supposing I said that about him, I'd like to take him behind the barn and give him a shot. They'd say, he's a fascist. He's a fascist. They would call me a fascist. With him, he can say it. They thought it was so cute. I remember when he said that. And you know what would happen if he took me behind the barn? I'd go like this. It would happen very fast. It would be over very fast. But they called me a fascist when I suggested it. Every day, Biden's extremist open borders agenda is destroying innocent lives. Last month in Texas, A savage illegal alien monster was charged with brutally murdering a 16-year-old Texas high school cheerleader, murdered her, stabbing her 19 times and leaving her body in a bathtub. He was let into our country illegally. And the crime is rampant, by the way. In New York, in the Roosevelt Hotel, they say they're fighting everybody, including themselves. They're beating the hell out of each other. This is a rough group of people we're letting in. Many of them are very rough people. These are not babies. Again, they come from prisons and jails, right? They come from mental institutions. These are rough people. These aren't babies. The only thing is they make our prisoners look like very nice people. Just weeks ago, a 5-time deported illegal alien who claims he was possessed by a demon was sentenced for beating and raping a young woman with special needs in what one law enforcement official described as among the most heinous crimes that she'd ever seen, 15 years that she'd ever seen in law enforcement. And just recently, a vicious illegal alien criminal who was wanted for murder all over the planet, wanted. Everybody knew this person, not a good person, was discovered living as a fugitive right here in Las Vegas. Isn't that nice? We have no choice. Within moments of my inauguration, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. No choice. We have no choice because this is not sustainable. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. They know that. That's why they're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference. You know that. And I'm the victim of it, but that's okay. I'm the victim of it, and it's my great honor because you're finding out they're doing things to me that has never happened, and here I am, and we're leading in every poll. So just let's get there. Let's get there. The closer we do and the better we do, the more dramatic they become. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. He is, for a lot of reasons. Number one, he's incompetent. That's a threat to democracy. You know, incompetence is a gross threat to democracy. But he is a real threat. What they're doing with elections and election interference, as an example, what they do with me. Look at yesterday. Look at all this crap that's going on. But we keep marching forward. We just keep going. And somehow it all works out. Somehow people say, how do you do it, sir? How do you do it? I get two questions. If you had it to do again, would you do it? Because, you know, in history, they say the president that was treated the worst was Abraham Lincoln, but he had the Civil War, you know, so he had a little Civil War going. Abraham Lincoln. And Jackson was treated very badly, and a couple of others were treated. Andrew Jackson, he was treated very badly, and a few others. And I haven't seen the new list, but if I'm not number one over Abraham Lincoln, I will be very disappointed because I don't believe any president's ever been. And they do that because their policies can't work. This is the only way they think they can win because we have strong borders. We have strong elections. We have to. If you don't have borders and elections, you don't have a country. And we have strong borders, and we're going to have very strong elections. So virtually every poll has us crushing Crooked Joe in the general election, 1 at 8 and 1 at 11 in the swing states, while Nikki Haley, have you ever heard of her? I didn't know she was still campaigning. She's still campaigning? Oh, she was just endorsed by Liz Cheney. Can you believe it? If Liz Cheney ever endorsed me, I say, no, I don't want it. I don't want that. And there's a comparison graphic that they're going to put up on the screen, which is sort of interesting. But we're beating everybody. We're beating her by a lot, but we're beating Biden. She can't beat Biden. The polls are showing, the most recent polls, because she doesn't have Republican support. You know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have MAGA. She doesn't have MAGA. There's no MAGA. The radical left Democrats want Nikki Haley because they know she's the easiest person to beat. And she will. She doesn't have Republican support. Nikki Haley supports a 23% national sales tax, and she wants to gut Medicare and Social Security, raising the retirement age of Social Security to, think of this, about 77, about 10 years, 12 years. Anybody in their 60s or 70s, would you like to say, I'm just about there, darling? You're 62 years old. I'm just about there, darling, but I see Nikki Haley wants to make it 10 years longer. Despite being completely unelectable, and I believe she's unelectable, Nikki is she's got a continuing plan in a shameless radical left craziness, because she's basically a Democrat. She's almost a radical left Democrat, which is hard to win elections like that, but it's like they use certain things as like a Trojan horse in the Republican primaries. Haley made a corrupt deal to sell out to the radical left, taking the Democrat money from donors and recruited all the votes. In the primaries that you just saw, she got killed in both of them. You had Iowa, you had New Hampshire. She got absolutely beaten badly. And she tried to cancel out Republicans, and she sort of did. She only got 25% of the Republican vote. In Iowa, where she came in a distant third. Remember, we have Ron DeSantis. Now, I've terminated that other name, right? They asked me. They said, what about the sanctimonious? I said, no, I put that into retirement, that name is. So now I call him Ron DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis came in second. He didn't come. She came in third, a distant third. And he got out, and then she went to New Hampshire, and she got slaughtered in New Hampshire, even though she had a lot of Democrats voting for her. Because in New Hampshire, they allowed Democrats and independents to vote. I said, this could be a little tough. And we still won by a lot. By a landslide, I got. Sort of a landslide. And she didn't come to Nevada because they looked at a poll and I was at 97%. She said, I think we're not going to win Nevada. And we have a caucus, and it's not really a traditional thing. It's a caucus. Caucuses can be very good. Caucuses, like Iowa is a caucus. It's very interesting. It's actually a lot more work, but it's a very interesting way to go. Trump Republican voters are going to defeat Nikki Haley's liberal Democrat donors every single time. I mean, her biggest donor is a radical left donor who will drop her right after this. But the donor is a big radical lefty, a slob. He's a slob. You take a look at him. He's a radical left donor who gave her a lot of money because they want to fight her. They want to be against her because they didn't do too well in 2016, and they got lucky as hell with all the theft in 2020. They got lucky as hell. They don't want to go through that again. So now they've weaponized. They hope that's going to be their new form of cheating, weaponized. And we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. And every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. Because I'm being indicted for you. I am being indicted for you. Think of it. Al Capone. I got indicted 4 times. This was not in my books, you know. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. They didn't teach indictment 101. I got indicted 4 times. Al Capone, the meanest of all. Scarface. They used to call him Scarface. Alphonse Capone. Al Capone, the great gangster. He was indicted less than me. I wonder what my parents looking down saying, son, we're so proud of you. Never forget our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. Never, ever. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. That's what they want to do. That's the game they play. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way. Here I am. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Had a good time. You get indicted because, you know, one of the indictments, he fought the election. Yeah, the election was rigged. Of course you fight it. By the way, you still have them fighting the 2016 election. I think every Democrat congressman and senator fought the 2016. It's okay for them, but if we fight it, but we actually caught it. And it was rigged, and it was stolen. Did you see where Biden, 2 days ago, said, I want to see the real governor of Virginia? In other words, he said the election was rigged and stolen. Is he going to be indicted for that? What do you think, Robert? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're delighted to be joined today by a lot of people that are great leaders of your state. A man who's done a fantastic job as lieutenant governor, Stavros Anthony. Stavros, thank you very much. Thank you. Republican National Committee woman, Sigal Chetah. Sigal, sit up. Thank you, darling. Sigal. Clark County Chairman Jesse Law. Thank Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Will you make sure they don't cheat in Clark County? I'm putting you in charge. Because we had a lot of problems with Clark County last time. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it. Esmeralda County Chairwoman, Teresa Barnes. Teresa? Thank you. Thank you. Teresa Barnes. State Senator Jeff Stone. Good guy, too. A good guy. Thank you, Jeff. Good job. Nevada Assembly members, Richard MacArthur, Greg Hafen, Toby Yorick. Thank you, fellas. Got a lot of power in this room. We got a lot of power in this 100-degree room, don't we? You know, the fake news, sometimes it's 100, 110 degrees. Sometimes it's some of these buildings weren't built for this, right? Crowds like this. And if I'm a little bit wet, they say, oh, he was sweating. He was sweating. I don't think there are too many people up here that wouldn't be sweating. Not too many people could speak the first paragraph. But you know what? It's great. And the people are getting very close to getting in now. I hope they haven't missed too much. U.S. Senate candidates, really good people. Ambassador Jeffrey Gunter. Jeffrey. These are three great candidates. Sam Brown and Amy, his fantastic wife. Sam Brown. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. Great. It's going to be a very good race, and we'll see what happens, but it's going to be great. And Jim Marchant. Jim. Thank you, Jim, very much. Jesus Marquez is the American Christian Caucus leader. Jesus, thank you very much. And Wayne Allen Root, man, he's something. Wayne Allen Root, I think he's back there with the fake news. And a guy who I just happen to love. You know, he used to be a Democrat. I used to watch him on Sean Hannity as a Democrat. And somehow he flipped. I don't know if he's a Republican, actually. I'm not sure. I don't think he is. But he is a Trump guy. That I know. Leo 2.0, Leo Terrell. He's great. He's a great guy. Boy, I'd like to have him as my lawyer. I could use you. Do you want to get out of this television business, Leo? Former acting Attorney General of the United States, Matt Whitaker. Matt, thank you very much. And a warrior, Kash Patel, a warrior. He loves it. He loves war. And one of our big television stars, and you know who he is, he's been to a lot of rallies, and he had a tragedy this week. His son passed away. Fentanyl. And he is a fantastic person and a great television personality, but your boy is up there looking down on you. Rick Harrison, he's looking down on you, and he loves you, and he's proud of you. And it's not an easy deal, the fentanyl, so very special guy. One of the best developers you'll ever see. He's big, he's rich, but he's a high-quality man, builds some of the most beautiful things you'll ever look at. Robert Bigelow. Robert, please. Good-looking stuff. Thank you. And another tremendous businessman. He just sold his company for like $3 billion. He's very solid. He's very liquid. But he has done a fantastic job, and he loves this area. This is where he grew up. He was born here. He's built here. He's done a fantastic job. Don Ahern. Don, thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, we love you too. You've done a hell of a job. So our top phone call volunteer, these are the people, Don, I have to introduce. This person made 114,000 phone calls. Rose Worrell. She's made like hundreds of thousands. Where is Rose? Right there, Rose. We love you. You're more important than these rich people, Rose. Thank you very much. And our top caucus captain, Marie Arena, who's done over 100,000, think of this, hundreds of thousands of calls, but she's got hundreds of friends coming to the caucus, and they'll be leading the caucus, and I want to thank you very much. She's been with me since 2015, if you can believe that, right? 2015. So I want to thank you both very much. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. And sign up to volunteer, and you get one of those beautiful caucus caps like we gave out. I noticed we gave them out in Iowa. Everybody wanted those caps. I wanted one. I wore one all day long. Loved it. I like it better than any other cap I think I've ever had. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we're going to have the greatest 4 years in our country's history. I believe that. I believe that. Or I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing it. You know, if I wasn't running, or if I was in 4th place, 5th place, 7th place, we started off with 12. Sort of reminds me of 2016. We started off with 18, including me. And then week by week, boom, boom. It was like chopping down a tree. Boom, what a great feeling. Boom, boom, boom. We started off with 11. The first few fell off fast, and then they got a little bit tougher. Bum, bum, bum. And now we're down to 1, and she's not doing too well. She's in South Carolina, and I'm leading by 78 points. It's a lot. But I wouldn't do this. And, you know, if I didn't think we could do a great job, because we had among the greatest 4-year periods in the history of the presidency. You know, think of the things. We cut your taxes more than the Reagan tax cuts. #1 biggest tax cut, #1 biggest regulation cut in history, which is even, frankly, for the business people, more important. It employed so many. We had the greatest economy in history. We rebuilt our military. We defeated ISIS. Everybody said, you can't defeat ISIS. We came out with right to try. That's space-age medicines that can't be used for years because they're under. You know, I used to say, why don't we use these great medicines? Sir, we can't use them. People may get hurt. Well, no, these are people that are terminally ill. They didn't want to do it because the insurance companies had a problem, the labs had a problem, doctors had a problem, and the country had a problem. One of the people said, we don't want to get sued if they die, but they're going to die anyway. So I said, why? They've been trying to get this for 71 years approved. I got it's called right to try. And we have saved thousands and thousands of people with this, the right to use certain space-age medical. The medicines that they're using wouldn't be out for 5 or 6 years. And it's really turned out to be the opposite. Thousands of people are now living. Some of them are living, they were terminal, and now they're living perfectly. They don't even have to go back. I mean, it's gone, what they've done. And in the old days, which was 6 years ago, people would go, they'd go to Asia, they'd go to Europe, they'd go all over the world looking for a cure, and they'd usually come back home and die. Or if they didn't have money, they'd go home and die. Now, you sign a piece of paper, there's no liability to anybody. They give you these new drugs, pills, shots, whatever it might be. And many, many thousands of people are living now that would not be living. So we did so many things. Rebuilding our military was so great. Unfortunately, we gave $85 billion of it to Afghanistan because we had a bunch of not smart people running that operation. Under my leadership, virtually everyone was better off, including, very importantly, our cherished Hispanic American community. Thank you. By the way, did you see the poll today? I'm leading in the Hispanic community. I'm leading. That's right. Right? It's the first time in the history of the poll, this particular one, where a Republican is leading with Hispanics. Wow. Look at over there. Look at over there and over. Look at all the people that couldn't get into this place. Wow. They didn't get in. They're screaming from outside with the same amount of enthusiasm. Thank you. That's amazing. You know what? That's like a poll. You know that, right? That's better than a poll. When you see crowds like this, and let's say somebody else came here, anybody, if you had 100 people, it would be a lot. We have thousands and thousands of people and thousands of people that can't get in, which is really very nice, and I appreciate it. We're gonna make our country great again. We're gonna make it great again. When I was your president, Hispanic Americans had the lowest unemployment rate in the history of these polls. You know, these polls have gone back a long way, but they never had numbers like you're having today. Today, the polls are beyond anyone. 6, 7 years ago, you had actual numbers, not polls. You had actual numbers where they were the best till that time. We're blowing them away, and we're blowing them away with African American people who are the single most affected people by what's happening at our border. African American, number one, Hispanic American, number two. They are being horribly threatened because of what's happening, because millions of people are pouring in. And the real number is 18 million. You remember that? I said it earlier. It's because the fake news wants you to think it's bigger than New York State. Bigger than New York State. And that's affecting, I think, I have the highest African American numbers that anyone's seen. And I have the highest Hispanic numbers that anyone's seen. And if those polls are right, that means the Democrats are in big trouble. We better indict Trump a couple of more times. Go ahead. They're going to indict me right into office. Crooked Joe Biden has devastated the Latino community. Biden's inflation disaster has crushed your household finances. I mean, what he's done to your finances are incredible. He's crushed your finances, and his open borders policy, they've demolished your wages. His inflation that he caused, it would have been so easy not to. All it was is energy. Remember this: gasoline, fuel, oil, natural gas went up to a level that it was impossible not. That's what caused inflation. And we're going to bring it down because we're going to go drill, baby, drill. We're drill, baby, drill. We're bringing it way down. And all communities, but again, Hispanic and African American, they've flooded. They've absolutely flooded. He's allowed this to come into our country, coming in from China, from all parts of the world, through the southern border. 4 years ago, they didn't have that. They had to go through hell. I remember I was negotiating the prices of machinery that would capture the scent of drugs. And we had great stuff. By the way, you know what the best machine is? A German Shepherd, a certain German Shepherd. There is no machine that is comparable to our dog. Is that I just thought I'd throw that out, but it's true. How do we get some more of those dogs? I like that better than spending $1 million for a machine that doesn't work as well. But it's true, the crime and all of the problems that have come in. And you got to remember, they could have stopped it, but the black community and the Hispanic community is affected more than anybody else by far. And so remember that when you go to the polls, and especially when you go in November. But on top of it all, Crooked Joe, and I call them thugs, they're persecuting Catholics. Anybody in here Catholic? Anybody? They are persecuting Catholics. I don't know how, I've never seen anything like it. The FBI, the DOJ is persecuting Catholics. And yet the Catholic vote, you know, with the evangelicals, I got 88%. With the Catholics, we got 50-50. It was a 50-50. I think that's going to change. Catholics, for whatever reason, are being persecuted by, you talk about weaponization, persecuted by Joe Biden's DOJ and FBI. So Catholics, will you remember that, please, in November? I'm sure it'll only get worse. Every disaster Joe Biden has created for Hispanic Americans, I will solve. I'll get it solved, and I'll get it solved and start the process on day one. On day one, we will start that process. That's why we're going to win the record share of Latino votes, the first time ever. We're going to get the record share. and will get the highest number of African American votes ever recorded. And I think pretty much everyone is agreeing on that. You know, Senator Tim Scott was on television yesterday, and he said Trump has done more for African Americans than any other president. Opportunity zones, I did that with him. Funding for the black colleges and universities, they had no funds. They would come to the, I'll never forget it. The heads of the black colleges, universities, they would come in and they'd see me every year. I say, after 2 years, I said, what are you doing? They said, for many years, we come and see the president and we have to beg. He used that term, a great guy. A lot of really good people, work hard. They came in and they need funds to keep their schools going. And then you have Harvard, you have all these other places with billions and billions of dollars, and they still get funds, which is pretty stupid, right? But they'd come in and they'd see me and they'd say, we need help. And after the third year, I said, what are you doing this for? And I got them long-term financing, more money than they asked for. And Tim Scott was relating that story today, and many other things, by the way. But you ought to look at opportunity zones. There's never been an economic development program, I think, that for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans, there's never been an economic program like that, opportunity zones, and nobody likes to talk about it, but it's one of the most successful economic development programs. And just to finish that off, I also happen to do a thing called criminal justice reform that Joe Biden didn't want, and a lot of people didn't want it, and a lot of liberal people and some conservatives. It's interesting, had a lot of conservative support and a lot of liberal support. Not a lot of support in the middle, but we got that done. So between those 3 or 4 things, nobody's ever done what I've done for the black community. And Tim, I appreciate Tim saying it this morning on one of the fake shows. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office shortly after we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I'll get it done fast. I know them both. And we will restore on this planet peace through earth. I am the only candidate who can make this promise to you. I will prevent World War III, and we're very close to World War III. We're very close to World War III. And on day one, I will end crooked Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate. They weren't working too well in Iowa. It was 40 degrees below zero, and you get into an electric car and you hear a buzzing. I said, what's that, sir? It works in zero, but you start getting below zero, and you had those cars all over the place. It would be a good time to take one. You could have taken one. You could have had all you wanted, but it wasn't. They were not working too well in Iowa. Think of that. We voted on a day where it was 40 below zero, and we had a tremendous vote. It was like, those people are hardy people. Somebody said they're very hardy. The people of Iowa are very hardy indeed. They voted in record numbers, and I will end his American energy war. It's a war on American energy. It's a war. Just yesterday, Biden blocked the export of American natural gas to other countries. You know, he doesn't want plants built in the United States, even though that's the best thing you could do. This stuff has been worked on for years. I approved many of them. We got many built in Louisiana and other places, but he stopped it. Now, why he stopped it, I guess it was the environmentalists, I guess. But it's good for the environment, not bad, and good for our country. I will approve the export terminals on my very first day back. I'm going to be signing so many different mandates on my first day back. All of that stuff will be approved. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. And I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong action on crime. We don't want crime. These cities are crazy what's going on. Hundreds of people yesterday walked into a department store and just walked out with everything. They emptied the store. Now the store is going to close. 5 years ago, they were all pushing for this store to open. They opened. Now people are just walking in and robbing it. You can solve that in 1 hour. All you do is 1 hour. You have to treat the first one out the door of the next time it happens extremely tough. That means anything you want to do. And as soon as that word gets out and you let people know, from now on you don't walk out with aspirin. You know, I have a building on 40 Wall Street, and we lost a big company, the big drug company where they sell drugs, drugstore. And I called the people. I said, what happened? He said, the people steal everything off the shelves. We have to build glass. They built glass containers on the shelves. They're still, this is not just New York, all over the place. It's like a new form of crime. They walk in, they just take a bag. In some of these places, they don't prosecute you unless it's more than $2,000. In other words, you can take $2,000, anything more than that. But even that, they won't do anything. Guys walk in with bags. They go like this. They push everything into the bag, and they walk out the store. And they actually had an employee that got into a fight with one of these guys, and the company fired the employee for doing that. What is wrong with our country? What's wrong with our patriotism? We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they've ever been before. And we will help them in crime because we're not going to let them be crime-ridden monsters. And we will take over our horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C., and clean it up, renovate it, rebuild our capital so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world, which it was once before. You know, we didn't have the problem with, it's happened over the last couple of years, but 2 nights ago, 3 people were shot. They walked out, they come in from Nebraska, they come in from all over the country. 3 people are shot. They're just shot. They don't even know why. They're just shot. And people don't want to go there anymore. It's our capital. We will treat those people when we catch them, and we'll catch them rougher than any people have ever been treated. And it'll all stop. It'll all stop. It's got to stop. Nobody wants to go there. And we will take all of the graffiti off the marble, and we will clean up the roads and rebuild the roads, and we will put medians in that aren't falling down all over the asphalt. I went there about a month ago for one of the Biden trials. You know, I got so many trials. I said, which one is it, sir? That's number 14. That's what they're doing. I got so many trials. So I'm going in. I'm going to a federal courthouse, which is in bad shape, very bad shape. But going there, I'm riding over paper that's been laying on the roadway. These are the major roads into Washington, D.C. Paper that's been laying there for 6 months. Cans, garbage. I say, can you imagine the median, you know, the median, the metal crap that they have that's always is falling down before you even build the stuff. Somebody's a good lobbyist, but it's always falling down. I could ask Robert, what the hell is wrong with that stuff? You know exactly what I'm talking about. The day they put it up, the next week, something. But it also gets hit, and it's laying out on the roads. And I'm saying, can you imagine you're the prime minister, you're the king or the queen of a country, you're the president of a country, and you're driving in, and you're driving over garbage to get to the White House or get to the Capitol, and you see roads that are in worse shape than most countries have, roads that have potholes all over them. You see graffiti all over the white marble columns. This is what's happening in our great Washington, D.C. We're going to take over Washington, D.C. We're going to federalize it. We're going to have the toughest law enforcement in the country. We're not going to have any more crime, and it's going to look beautiful. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. I'm not going to do it. And something I can't believe I have to say, but I guess I do, because who would have thought even 10 years ago this was necessary? Because there are politicians that think this is a wonderful policy because they're not smart people or there's something going on. I will keep men out of women's sports. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Weightlifting. You ever see the difference? Weightlifter. They broke the record by, I think, 142 pounds. The record stood for 18 years. They couldn't break it. A quarter of an ounce here, a quarter of an, they couldn't get it. This guy comes along. Have you ever lifted before? No, I haven't. Oh. He broke the record by like 142 pounds. I don't think that record will stand a long time. You know, if we ever get it straight, and we will, because I'm going to sign right away. But when that's straight, women are going to look back and they're going to say, who the hell was it that is 142 pounds more? So we're going to have to bring back those records, I think. What do you think? Yes? Yeah. Because those records aren't going to be broken within the next 100 years by the women. How about the swimmers, where you look at the swimmers, all these great swimmers, and all of a sudden this woman against a guy who's he looks like he's got the wingspan of the great Wilt Chamberlain, right? And he jumps into that pool, and the young women left and right, they're badly injured by the wind as he goes by. They get windburn. I will fully uphold the Second Amendment, and I did a great job in doing that. I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency, which is a big thing because they'll take all your money. They'll take all of your money, Don, and you won't know what the hell happened to my money. Of course, the court systems here like to do that too. They do it there. That's like communism, you know. So it's sort of when you think it's like a communist move, but digital currency, what do you see? But we'll get rid of that. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure the elections like never have been secured before. Because if we don't have fair and honest elections, and if we don't have border security, if we don't have strong borders and strong elections, we don't have a country. We don't have a country. And remember when I used to talk about the wall? I built this tremendous amount of wall. That's why we had the best record. But they used to say, walls, we don't need walls. We need things flying up in the air. No, you need walls. Because there's only two things in history that work long term. Everything else is obsolete. You do a new computer, it's obsolete in like 3 days. Walls and wheels. You always have walls and wheels. A wall has worked for a long time. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. But until then, Republicans, you have to win, Republicans. Go out and win. When we get in there, we're changing it around. We're going to get rid of all the stuff. Paper ballots, they make special paper today. It's incredible. It sounds crazy, but it's incredible. Watermark. And it's good. And some governors are doing it. Some of the Republican governors have actually already started it. And number one, you're going to save a hell of a lot of money. It's about 9% the cost of doing it the other way. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. He's destroying our country. So if you want to save America, then get everyone you know out to vote in the Nevada caucuses on Thursday, February 8th. And it's very important for you to help educate all of our supporters that we're not talking about the government-run, universal mail-in ballots. We don't want mail-in ballots. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Don't go on Tuesday, February 6th. That's 2 days earlier. Don't do it. Don't use a mail-in ballot. Don't do anything. It's a meaningless event. Totally. There are no delegates. It's a con job. We could have done it, but we really wanted to do it the right way and the legitimate way. And so don't do the 6th, do the 8th. Do the caucus, not the primary. The primary is meaningless. I don't know, maybe they'll try and use it for public relations purposes. Every time Trump supporters, and they need something, they have to go. What you have to do is caucus on February 8th. It's the only way you can vote for President Trump. So caucus on February 8th. And if you need any details, February 8th. If you have any details or need anything, it's Donald J. Trump, did you ever hear of him? .com, okay? So in conclusion, when we leave this 109-degree room, from Henderson to Minden from Elko to Reno and from Carson City to right here in Las Vegas. We stand on the shoulders of Nevada patriots who crossed the ocean, settled a continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those great skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, and lit up the most beautiful lights anyone's ever seen right here on the Las Vegas Strip. Together they built America into the single greatest country anywhere in the world. But now we're a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it's hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. We will expel them. We're going to drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House on Election Day 2024. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nevada.